Hello. In this video, I am going to go over how to configure SSH for Packet Tracer Lab 1.3.6. So configure SSH. So SSH is the applications to remote into a router, a switch, or any devices. It is a secure connections versus telnet. Remember on the previous lab where we use console cable to connect to the switch, right? So there is another method. It's called remote management to connect into the network devices. And SSH is one of the remote management applications that you can use to connect to your switch. All right, so let's follow the instructions here. Part 1, secure password. So we want to go to PC1 and telnet to SSH with the password Cisco. Okay, so let's do that. So go to PC1, go to desktop, and there is the telnet and SSH applications. And for this, initially we just going to use telnet. Telnet is a unsecure remote connections versus SSH is a secure. So the password that the IP that we put in here is the S1. So that would be 10.10.10.2. And we hit connect. The password is Cisco. Now we're in. Again, you are presented at the user mode initially. So you want to save the config first. So let's go to enable mode. And password is also Cisco. And then let's do a copy running config, startup config. Okay. So this is to save the initial configuration. So any changes that we make, if we don't like the changes, we can roll back to this configurations here, the initial configuration. All right, so let's start with the configurations changes on the switch. So we need to go to config terminal mode. All right, the first command is server's password encryption. Okay, so this will encrypt all the plain text password that already exists on this switch. Okay, so now let's verify if that's the case. We do a show run. As you can see, the password are encrypted here, not plain text. Yep. You have the line BTY. Password is also encrypted through that server's password encryption. Okay, so let's now move on to configure SSH connection. So what we want to do first is configure a domain name. So go back to configure mode. So be IP domain name and then netcat.pka. So next we need to generate the encryption key for SSH. Okay, so we need to generate the key here. So this is the syntax. Crypto key, generate RSA, general keys, modular 1024. Alright, so you can see the SSH protocol is enabled on the switch. So now we need to create a user account, right? So this step here, create administrator user with Cisco as a secret password. Then we need to configure live VTY lines to use that local user that we create for authentication into SSH. So let's create the user. So username, administrator. With the secret. Cisco as the password. So a quick tips when you working with COI, you know this question mark that I'm keep using. Essentially, it was just telling me what options are followed that I can use. Okay. And if you see this at the end of that question mark, when you use a question, that means you're at the end of that syntax. There's nothing to follow. So secret Cisco. Remember not to space. You see, if you do space, your password will be different. You make sure you have to put the space as well. So usually just pay attention to not have a space when you do the password, right? So Cisco, hit enter. So we want to go to line VTY. And then we want to do login local. Yeah. You want to do login local to use this account that you created. And also you want to change the VT1 to only allow SSH instead of Telnet. So we want to do input transport input SSH only. Okay. Okay, so now I think we are done with the SSH configurations. We just need to test if we can log in to the switch from PC1. Use an SSH protocol with the username administrator and the password Cisco. Okay, so let's go back to the Telnet applications. We want to test to see if Telnet is still function. I don't think it should. Yeah, so you see Telnet is no longer working because on the live VTY we only allow SSH connection. So now let's change to SSH. We want to put the IP of the switch here. Username will be administrator and password will be Cisco. And there we go. We are in. So we have successfully configured SSH with the user account administrator and the password as Cisco. and we have enabled SSH protocol in the switch, and we have successfully connected to the switch using the PC through SSH application. And I think that is for this exercise. I will see you guys on the next packet tracer.